Welcome back to another episode of Warren Cali. In this episode, I'ma detail the story of the Gator Boys. Now, the Gator Boys will be two brothers from San Diego who came up on the southeast side of the city, which is also known as one of the most dangerous sides of Dago, with numerous gangs and numerous different gangs between Bloods and Crips going to war. One of the most prominent gangs on the southeast will be the Skyline Pirus. The Skylines were formed over 40 years ago and become one of Dago's biggest and most deadliest gangs. The Skylines and their allies like O'Farrell Park will go to war with several rivals in the city, and that would be gangs like Lincoln Park Bloods, the Emerald Hill Bloods, and the 5'9 Brims. The way that LA has many Crip gangs outnumbering Blood gangs in the city, which caused many other Crips to beef with each other, this is the same way in Dago. As many Bloods outnumbering Crips in the city, so many Bloods became rivals of Bloods. The Skylines would have such an impact on crime in the city. By 2004, they would have a gang injunction, which tried to bring down over 30 members of the Skylines, and this gang injunction would have conditions, like no hanging out, no trespassing in the area, and they put curfews on the whole entire area. The Skyline will still continue to function, even though them and O'Farrell Parks will go through a lot of problems with the police in the following years. During this time period in the early 2000s, the Gator Boys were prominent members of the Skyline Pirus. The Gator Boys consisted of two brothers, Demetrius, who went by D, and Marcus. They were known for putting in work. On November 15th, 2002, a man named Eager will be shot in the back of the head and killed in downtown San Diego. A Skyline Piru member named Denton, who was present at the scene, would later cooperate with police. He would say O'Farrell Park and the Skyline Pirus were together downtown. Denton would even tell the police that the shooters had to be D or Marcus. The incident would happen when the O'Farrell Parks and the Skyline Pirus were together downtown. They were running into rivals from Emerald Hill Bloods, and this would lead to an altercation. Eager was from Emerald Hill, and this would lead to a fight, and then later led to a shooting, which ended up Eager being dead. Two other men would question about the shooting, and they were among the O'Farrell and the Skyline crew. They would make statements on D, stating he was there, and that he even was the shooter. One of the men named Will would later tell the police that D chased Eager down and shot him in the back of the head. On April 18th, 2003, Fred will be walking in the Emerald Hills turf when multiple cars will pull up, yelling distance to Emerald Hills. One of the cars will start firing at Fred, hitting him in the groin, which led to him being in the hospital for 5 days. Fred was shown a photo lineup of several O'Farrell Parks and Skyline Pirus. He would be shown D, which he knew D from going to school with him, but Fred refused to pick anyone out. A Skyline Piru would later be questioned about this shooting, and he would tell the police that D told him about the shooting, and said that D told him he fired 4 shots at Fred, hitting him in the groin. On September 8th, 2003, Hardy of 5'9 Brim was standing outside his home in Paradise Hills when a tan car drove up to his house and stopped. One of the passengers in the car got out and fired 2 shots towards his house. One shot hit a car and another hit a wall of a house. Hardy was not injured. The driver of that tan car was later identified by several witnesses. He would be picked up and his name was Eduardo. Eduardo would say that D was the shooter, and they drove by Hardy's home, where D recognized Hardy and yelled out to him. This led up to both Hardy and D yelling distance to each other's gangs. This led to D hopping out and shooting at Hardy. Many witnesses on the street would see the shooting and later identify D as well. On September 27, 2003, D would be arrested on a gun possession, but this all led to him being charged with several murders, and many of his homies that were facing their own charges tried to pin a lot of the shootings on D. They tried to get immunity or reduce sentences. Will would be one of the main people snitching on D. Many people would say Will was a drug user and tried to lie to reduce his time. Will's old girlfriend would come to D's defense and say he was a liar, and even D's mom would say he was a well-known drug user. But with so many witnesses coming forth and so much evidence against him, D will receive 75 years to life. D is now 38, and his earliest parole hearing is in 2027, after he reaches the 20-year mark in prison. This will conclude this episode. If you haven't already, make sure you check out my previous episodes. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe.